Hello there, I'm the Biblical Translator and I'm up all morning. Don't make a cough, but as soon as I try to speak, my voice goes all funny. Anyway, today I rebuke it and I'm going to talk about Romans 4:9 to 11. And now is this blessing of acceptance only for the Jews? Or is it also for the uncircumcised Gentiles? Well, we have been saying that Abraham was counted as righteous by God because of his faith. But how did this happen? Was he counted as righteous only after he was circumcised? Clearly, God accepted Abraham before he was circumcised. Circumcision was a sign that Abraham already had faith and that God had already accepted him and declared him to be righteous, even before he was circumcised. These are counted as righteous because of their faith. Now, this is really talking about is works without faith is dead. You'll get a lot of people saying, praying, I want some money, I want a house, I want a job, I want a car, I want to get married, I want children. And they're not doing anything about it. They're beseeching to God in prayer, but are they taking any physical actions? For those who want a baby, are they going through whether or not their wife is fertile, whether or not they are fertile, whether or not they have any other health issues that might cause a weak sperm? Are they checking out whether or not they're having sex during the fertile period? Or are they just hammering away randomly and not giving it any research or putting any effort in to the actual reasons why somebody might not be getting pregnant? It's similarly when people want a car or they want a house, and oh God, I want a house, I want a car, and they're marking the lotto, or they're sitting around waiting to win a car. They're not thinking, okay, I want a car or I want a house. How am I going to get that? What is a reasonable way to acquire that? Well, it looks like I might have to get a job, save X amount a month, and make sacrifices here, make sacrifices there, and then I'll be able to get a car. Similarly, people who might want a job. They're not going to get a job just by praying to God for a job without actively going out seeking for a job and looking at all the different alternatives. And so faith without works is dead. Yes, you must have faith that God can deliver, but God can only deliver when you put in the work. And this is what bypasses a lot of Christians. They do not realize that yes, you can ask God for things and God will answer prayers, but God is also watching. How convicted are you? How committed are you? How dedicated are you? What are you going to do to get what it is you want? Or are you just going to sit back and wait for me to deliver? God doesn't like lazy people. God doesn't like people who take him for granted. Yes, God says, I will answer your prayers, but for Christ's sake, you don't expect him to answer your prayers while you're sitting there twiddling your thumbs. It doesn't work like that. So, works without faith is dead. People who start something without conviction and then complain when things don't work out, you'll get some people. They are going to start a project and then, they face a challenge, or it's not going the way they wanted it to go, or it's not moving as fast, and they give up. And they blame it on the actual task. They don't blame it on themselves for giving up or for themselves for having lack of commitment. They blame it on the system. And they always say a poor workman always blames his tools. And you'll always find that people who are not successful always have an excuse why they aren't. They'll always have something to blame or someone to blame. So people who do not believe in the outcome, you'll have people who start something and in their hearts they don't really believe it's going to come to fruition. You have to believe. I'm the type of person, I have lacked faith, and I've lost out because I have lacked faith. When I left America, I thought to myself, I was 50 at the time, and I thought to myself, oh, when I leave America, I've only got a couple of years to live, because 50 back then was old. And I thought, oh, I've only got a few years to live, so therefore I'm going to take out the whole of my pension and I'm going to get a house with it and blah, blah, blah. Because I didn't have any faith that, number one, I was going to live beyond a certain number of years, and number two, that God wasn't going to provide for me in the meantime. If I believed that God was going to provide for me in the meantime, I would have left my pension in the pot, and I would have come over here, made life, and then when I retired, I wouldn't have even had to have worked. But I didn't have faith. Similarly, when I had my house, I had a beautiful house, and it came up to retirement age, and I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to get a job, so therefore I've got to sell that beautiful house because I'm not going to have an income. And what happens 3 months after I sell my house? There's no retirement date. You can work as long as you like. And now I'm in no better position back then than I am now, because I lacked faith. The thing is, we all do it. We operate out of fear. We do not believe in ourselves. We do not really have faith that God is going to provide. So we take control. We make our own decisions and then blame it on circumstances and the government and everybody else. Why things aren't working out the way we want it to work out, just because we didn't have faith to persevere and go the course. And like I said, I'm guilty of that. In my current situation, I've decided that I am going to act on faith and believe that things will work out in the end. I've got to believe that. I'm not going to pull in the towel and say, normally I'm a type of person who runs off or, escapes or does something different or doesn't finish what I've started. And I don't mean that in terms of jobs, I mean that in terms of relationships. But I thought to myself, something, this is about faith. Faith that things will be better. Faith that God will provide if I trust in him. And I do the work. I make the effort. It can't work by itself. I've got to put in the effort. So, I've got here, some people believe by saying or praying things will happen even if they don't put the effort or work in. I've already said that. Works, Christ God demands of us to do justice, to love kindness, to humbly walk with God. Let your light shine before others so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. When people see how you are, how you behave, how you are flourishing, you give the glory to God for that. And when they were talking about the uncircumcised Gentiles and the Jews, a lot of Jews, they have the circumcision as an outward covenant. And they circumcise their children when they're 8 days old, and that they're kind of making a third-party covenant on behalf of their children. But an external covenant between God and the Jewish nation. And once again, their outward obligation is not the same as what's going on in their hearts. They have to just make sure that the works match up with the outward commitment. So I just wanted to share that with you. So just remember, if you want something, you have to work at it first, and then God will deliver.